Hey, welcome to This Week in Pharmacy. My name is TWIRx, founder of the Pharmacy Podcast Network, and it is a party today in the studio. This is the first time that we actually get to have a little party in celebration of the profession of pharmacy.
Whoa.
I'm telling you, I want to introduce some of my team members today. Number one, Shawn Nairn.
Give it up.
He is a pharmacist rock star here in the great city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the one and only in Pharmacy 50.
That's right.
50
Top
most
50.
influential
Top 50.
pharmacist.
Big hitter.
Right.
Big
Like,
hitter.
Representing the
Where's
412.
I want to press the right button. No, that's not it.
Oh,
There
There we go.
the show already shit the bed. We've been on for 2 minutes. You're shit the bed on the show. You're hitting your own buttons over there.
I know, but I'm new at it. And I need to get this camera over so we could get a little bit of
There we
everybody.
go. Everybody.
You need to get bigger
Everybody.
straws too, because my drink is down here and I have to go pick it up every time. But if the straw went from
We're
the table
partying.
all the way to my mouth, I wouldn't have to move.
We're partying here. at the
Innovator.
podcast.
This is the innovation.
Podcast innovation show.
That's right.
Representing the U.S. Army. If you don't have your shirt, for God's sakes, go to
What are you waiting
usfarmy.com
for?
and buy a shirt, for goodness sakes. You guys make all kinds of money. I know you do as pharmacists out there. You can afford a shirt.
Yeah.
They're nice too. Good quality shirt there, Todd. Thank
Order
you.
your shirt. Anyway,
Represent.
U.S.
The
Army.
Podfather.
If you don't know, it's about supporting our veterans. And eventually I want to build enough programs for pharmacists out there who are concentrating on psychotropic medication and PTSD. We want to talk about how pharmacists can impact the lives of our veterans. And that's the whole purpose of the show. I want to go first to Shawn. Introduce yourself. Tell our listeners a little bit about who is Shawn Nairn.
That's a pretty deep question, but I'll stick to the basics, Todd. Now, I have a pharmacy in Carnegie, ACORx Pharmacy. We specialize in the long-term care at home space, taking care of people around Western Pennsylvania. I've known Todd for a long time, been involved in pharmacy politically, had some retail stores in my day, just trying to further the profession. And that's why we jump on Todd's bandwagon, because he's a bus driver that's going to take us somewhere.
Well, I want to tell a story, quick story. So I met Shawn when he was running hometown pharmacies out of the Green Tree, Pittsburgh area. And I had just bought a car wash because I was trying to level up my income and diversify. Because at the time I was in pharmacy technology. And at this time, I didn't even start the Pharmacy Podcast. Pharmacy Podcast didn't come till 2009. So this is pre-2009, which means that we've known each other longer than you probably realize.
That is, let's go back to your pharmacy GPO days. I mean, at least, right? That's somewhere in that time frame as well.
Software days.
Where
we had
soft
soft
writers.
writers.
Soft writers.
By the way, shout out to soft writers coming back to the Pharmacy Podcast. We're going to have a series. I know. I'm excited about that. So anyway, that's where I started. That was like the beginning.
It's in your heyday, baby.
Yeah, that's
I love it.
Setting the world on fire. All right. So then you and I meet when you're running that operation, and then you have this crazy idea to build a specific organization that focused on home care with those flavors of long-term care management, packaging, and of course, follow-up services, what you're doing. Tell our listeners about like the vision of ACORx.
Yeah, so it was born from exactly like you said. I was involved in some retail pharmacies. I was involved in some long-term care pharmacies. And I think it was just the sort of aha moment of, there's people living at home. There's not enough nursing homes. The aging population is aging faster than we're going to find homes for. It's too expensive to keep people. So if you don't need facility level care, it's a lot less expensive if you can do it at home. So it was just like this literally this natural, instant aha moment that was like, there's an opportunity here. And sure enough, we jumped in. My team was like, I said to my team, how do we do this? Everybody had ideas. Everybody pitched in. So we started doing this home-based compliance packaging out of some retail stores. And then at one point or another, we realized, hey, this is a beast. Let's fold it into its own store. And we did. And then that's where, we're at ACORx today, down in Carnegie.
So
down in Carnegie and that.
I'm proud of you because I know that how hard it was to transition from where you were to where you're taking it. I know that there are services that are necessary for seniors to be able to live in very freedom-oriented environment, that they're almost skilled nursing, but not quite skilled nursing, where they still have mobility. You're encouraging mobility as a pharmacist. And if you think of what ACOR is beginning to build, and with the influx of baby boomers, which we're not even at the, by the way, guys, we're not even at the pinnacle yet. We're not at the heightened point
Right.
from a population perspective. So we got a little while. So that's going to explode. So now we have community pharmacists like Shawn's models that are you're catering to long-term care type needs and services that are happening in these facilities, but you're keeping people at home, which is less expensive. And now you start employing technology like Spencer Health, which is why I want to talk to Mr. Antypas, Dr. Antypas. So Perigon 360 comes aboard from a concept of what? That's question number one. Question number two, I want you to talk about the technology that you're employing in order to do more remote patient monitoring, disease state management, monitoring, data collection. Talk to our listeners this week in pharmacy. This is Dr. Chris Antypas, pharmacist 50 most influential leaders and innovators.
Yeah, look at that.
You won, so I'm proud of you.
Yeah, appreciate it. So, yeah, a little bit about what I've got going on. I wear a few different hats over the course of a day and a week. So I've got Asti South Hills Pharmacy, high volume retail pharmacy. I've got a closed door long-term care pharmacy where we're doing skilled nursing, personal care. We're doing some medical at home, and really zeroing in, collaborating with Shawn in a few different ways in that regard. I've got the 340B pharmacy located in a clinic, and that rounds out my Asti's pharmacy gig. I have to give a shout out to my team there because I couldn't do any of that on my own. I've got my partners, Dan and Jen Asti, my father, Gabe, Antypas, and a couple team members, Samantha, Pizzarella, Amy Wilhelm. They give me the opportunity to look like I'm on the top 50 list because of them, really.
Mm-hmm.
But then, as you pointed out, we've got Perigon Pharmacy, part of Perigon Health, which is a specialty pharmacy that I started 2016, focusing on really trying to compete in the specialty pharmacy space. So 50 state license, dual accredited specialty pharmacy. And then about a year and a half ago, tried to level up our own business in this digital health space, where we recognize that, the world around us is advancing in technology and capabilities, and pharmacy is, for lack of a better way to put it, they're essentially in the Stone Ages. We're still doing things the same way we were doing it 20 years
faxing.
ago. Isn't that wild?
We're still faxing.
And so recognizing there's an opportunity to intersect pharmacy and technology and digital, that was really the birth of Perigon, where we brought our company together with really a technology-focused company in the nutritional space. Perigon was born, and now we are, I would welcome challenges to this, but the leader in digital pharmacy, making some partnerships. So we at Perigon have our own technology. We have some devices that we have IP on that we've manufactured, and we're putting in patients' homes to monitor oral medications, using adherence packaging, monitor injectables and inhaled medications. And also we're partnering with other companies that have other devices and bringing them into our dashboard, where clinicians, that could be our pharmacists or nurses or the provider or you name it, has access to this dashboard, where patients where the clinical team can help support a patient's medication adherence, but also monitoring their blood pressure, monitoring their weight or otherwise. And that's really where the partnership, we are collaborating with, a company like Spencer that has been focusing on digital health, but bringing that into our ecosystem at Perigon. We've got some exciting things ahead of us, but it's really, it's high time for pharmacy to get into this space, get into digital, do things differently, provide better care for patients. And, I think the rest of the healthcare system is really eager to see what pharmacy can do. And they're looking forward to the benefits that it offers.
I agree. I do want to give a shout out to Mr. Tom Rhodes. I've known Tom since his Parata days, where he led Parata to a whole nother level in management of specific conditions, disease states, settings with automation, and then putting together a team with at Spencer Health to put technology, dispensing cartridges and technology through strip packaging into the homes of patients across the nation that now can be used as clinical trials, can be used as follow-up for specific therapies, including specialty pharmacy, and the partnerships that can be built between the data that you have as a care provider, as a pharmacy that's focused on something in specialty, for example. And now you have the ability to tap into partnerships with pharma companies and being able to follow up with that data. Like, that's why this stuff is so important. And that's what I talk about, the evolution of our pharmacy profession today. We're talking about the innovation acceleration that I'm noticing. And guys, I've been here long enough to know. I've been here since 2004, and it wasn't like this. And we weren't even, we were, I don't know when the buzzword provider status came out, which, lost its shine per se from a national perspective, because it's taken so long for us to literally get provider status.
Right.
But we're not waiting around for that. It's not necessary to wait around from that. Shawn, I know you've had ideas to go from a community pharmacy operator, and you did an incredible job at growing the companies that you grew. You should take credit for where you took Hometown Pharmacy, and then taking some of the concepts that you had of some of the missing pieces to start keeping up with our seniors who are in their homes, who don't have access, and taking delivery to a whole nother level. That's kind of like part of the clinical trial stuff too, that you should be involved in, because you have the client base, you have the patient base. And how do we spread that throughout the nation for certain pharmacy owners out there who want to go the route that you went?
Well, I think the gist of the conversation today is technology and pharmacy, and I mean pharmacy is now finally catching up to technology opportunities. Healthcare is a little bit behind, so there's so many opportunities if across the healthcare spectrum, if they can embrace technology. So there's and now is as great a time as any for development. I mean, pharmacy on one hand, like retail pharmacy, old school traditional stuff, it has a very short lifespan left if we don't get some breaks there. But at the same time, there has never been more opportunity in pharmacy, from remote patient monitoring. These are things that like Chris can talk about. Remote patient monitoring, the ability to manage medication. What am I talking about? Medication compliance at home, right? Machines that tell you when you open up the machine, and it tells you, did you take your meds? Did I not take my meds? I mean, if we can just find a way to marry all this technology with the traditional base of healthcare, with caring about your patients, I mean, I think we have a solution there that's less expensive, sort of, less invasive in the context of people get to stay at home, people get to get better at home. I mean, when's the last time you heard somebody say, hey, I'd like to go to a nursing home?
Exactly.
Never.
Because it's restrictive of freedoms, and in many cases, number one, it's not even available anymore. We don't have enough nursing homes throughout the country to keep up with what's about to happen with the reaching the pinnacle of this entire baby boomers
agree. Yeah,
demographic.
for sure. You're 100% right.
And so I think of people like Dr. Scott Chelson. He is leading Baptist Health, public health innovation, and Brandon and Dr. Marissa Brooks, and people that are innovating public health from the pharmacist perspective, which doesn't have to have these silos. I've been preaching this for years, between long-term care, specialty, community, micro chain pharmacy. There don't have to be these segregations of pharmacy, and you could literally use FHIR, which is the new API system, is to be able to exchange data from pharmacy management system to pharmacy management system, as well as the wearables. There is a group of pharmacists that I talked with at Kroger Health that actually has an incubator of what everyone is talking about right now. And it's all within a grocery store that now has access to what you're buying from your Advantage card. We call it Advantage card at Giant Eagle.
Yeah.
But
Kind
in
of like
Giant
tissue
Eagle,
or Jello, right?
Yeah.
It's this Advantage card is every
exactly
discount
All
card
of your
out there.
purchases.
What if, Chris? What if I'm Giant Eagle's, pharmacy VP?
Are you allowed to say
right?
Giant Eagle?
I like Giant Eagle. I'm ready. I love.
Oh,
it.
okay.
We're
now you're
allowed. We're
endorsing
allowed.
it.
to
Are
talk
we
about
allowed to say
that. We're
Giant
allowed to
Eagle?
do whatever
Yeah,
we
because they're
want.
Pittsburgh. They're Pittsburgh.
All right, go ahead.
Shout out to Giant Eagle. So they're like,
Not a
hey,
sponsor.
I
Yeah.
want the data. I want the data from the Advantage card to see if they're buying nutritional stuff, vegetables, fruits, special stuff. And if they are, they're going to get more kickbacks on the Giant Eagle Advantage concept.
Right.
So now you're encouraging your Giant Eagle shoppers to buy certain things that are nutritional based, especially if you're on a specific therapy. Think about this.
Yeah.
What if you were on a specialty drug that had some kind of nutrition depletion, right?
Totally.
And all of a sudden you're like, if you buy our fresh spinach on sale today, Giant Eagle packaged spinach, and if you buy a lot of it,
Could you imagine if they could integrate all that technology?
What if they just shop for you? They created the list for you, right? And so you just walk the stores and buy what's on the list generated by them.
And now you're integrating specialty pharmacy technology and drug manufacturing technology into integrative medicine and nutritional based medicine so that you can start taking advantage of the fusion of where we're all going, because you have all these factions of people. You have the nutritionalists who hate pharma, and then you have, there's a balance, and guess where the balance ends up? It literally ends up.
You lost me a couple minutes ago, but keep going, man. You're on a roll.
Pharmacist.
You're 100% on a roll. Keep going.
With the pharmacist.
Well, I think that this is really we're actually seeing today artificial intelligence come into play in healthcare. So another company, I now have another hat that I wear, a chief strategy officer for a company called Pharmacy Marketplace, which is using artificial intelligence to help pharmacies get better visibility into their purchasing.
Yeah.
And when you think about the capabilities, like what is AI? I mean, when we think of AI, what comes to mind? When you hear AI, what do you think about?
High-tech movies, like state-of-the-art, like
there's realistic
sci-fi,
AI.
sci-fi stuff.
And then there's
Meantime,
sci-fi.
you have ChatGPT. You can just say, give me a term paper on
right.
Todd Urey, and it comes up.
Yeah, I think of AI as the more realistic AI, which is like taking a patient is in a specific therapy, and on day 16 of all of the data that we found, temperature went up by 2%. Now AI responds to that and says through the Alexa voice, right? Says, hey, good morning, Shawn. If you feel cold today or you feel hot today, be aware that you can contact your specialty pharmacy or whatever. But that kind of data, that's the future of AI.
Yeah, it's really interesting. But I think that, to your point, this whole intelligent, adding nutrition. My sister's a registered dietitian, Natalie.
My sister's a dietitian too.
Yeah, so we have these conversations about, making good food choices. And I have another sister, Karina, who's a pharmacist, and she's on this. She is like the food police when it comes to the what we're ingesting. So this whole notion, like a few years ago, you hear organic. What's organic, and does that actually matter? And then when you hear these stories about Roundup, she's essentially through osmosis educated me on glyphosate and these other chemicals, and the foods that we're putting in our body are having an effect on our health. But the example that you gave, where the grocer can use intelligence around your disease to help inform your food, it's like now is time for this.
But listen, here's the point of that crossroads. The nexus there is, how do you get the patient to pay attention to that?
Right.
We can do it all,
because you have access to their phone.
If you don't educate the patient enough to get them to understand or to put forth an effort, right? So
the pharmacist plays a role, I think, in that.
I agree. That's our key role in some,
They have to be the source, because you can't have Dr. Google, and you can't have MSNBC, and you can't have CNN, and you can't have CNN. I can't say it. And you can't have Fox News dictating patient health.
Well,
It should be
pharmacies at the
pharmacists.
pharmacies at the threshold. Totally. I mean,
You-
look at PPCN and where we put that, right? I mean, it's literally
That's
on the
true.
map now,
Let's come along.
Yeah.
right? I mean, clinically,
Shout out to
the clinical
Melissa. I
muscle,
love those people.
the clinical muscle of pharmacists is exerted through PPCN, and we're really
It just
we have some
demonstrates
momentum.
the pharmacist role in all of this, and it's a relationship, it's trust, it's being able to influence behavior. It's merely being able to, when Shawn and I, when our phone number shows up on the caller ID, people answer the phone. Part of the biggest challenge we face is engagement and buy-in from the patient, but that is the untapped value of the pharmacist. That is your pharmacist picking up the phone and calling you, someone who you trust and and that knows you. More importantly, it's not
Right.
just about them, they also know you. They know your story, they know this is and this is really where the call to action is to the pharmacists. Expect more from yourself, because you have this power, this influence, and we've got to figure out a way to take advantage of that to advance our profession. And we also have to have this impact factor. Like, we have to be able to make an impact.
But I think that's what right? That's just kind of
That's the story.
story of PPCN, right?
For sure.
We're going to engage our patients full tilt to make them better. They're going to appreciate what we do. They're going to bond with us. They're going to share our audiences. They're going to share with us. They're going to refer our pharmacies to their friends. There's 20% of the people out there that cost 80% of the healthcare dollars, and they just need a higher level of care. And I think focusing on that smaller population saves more money than focusing on us three in this room. You don't have to spend $1 on us. We're not necessarily healthy, but we're
healthy.
in that regard. Some regards we're healthy. By definition, we're healthy.
Not as good as could be. I struggle with that, by the way. I've recommitted myself to health and to exercise.
Doesn't look like it.
many times.
You better look behind you.
I'm 170 pounds.
Yep.
I'm 5'7".
Did you lose weight?
I need to be 155.
How much weight you lose?
8 pounds.
You better look behind you.
What's back
I
there?
found it.
It's in my ass. Finally, I've always had a skinny ass, like that skinny.
Isn't that the shame? You don't got it where you need it, where you want it.
Nobody ever has it where they need it. A shout out to what everybody goes through. As
This
you
program
age.
took a turn for the worst.
Yeah, we can't trust you, Shawn.
I know you're not allowed to talk anymore.
I didn't say it. You guys did.
I do want to show you something. So let's look at this real quick. So the NCPA is working on more push and more lobbying with regards to the committee, House committee investigation that is keeping heat on the PBMs. And I just want to shout out to the NCPA and Doug Hoy and his team for getting and leveling up, because this has taken a long freaking time to get to this level where we're starting to really bring heat down on the PBMs. It's certainly not where it needs to be, in my opinion, but it's still eons ahead of where I started in 2004 and what I knew that had been accomplished. So,
yeah, this is huge. This is a big deal. We, I read through some of the requests, the data requests that went out from this committee to the PBM, CMS, and I just hope that they have the knowledge. We got our champion, Buddy Carter, local shout out for
South Carolina.
Guy Reschenthaler, who's here local.
I want him on our show.
I could get him on. He's
wait a second, dude. He might be writing checks he can't cash down there.
Yeah,
listen,
I'll get Guy on. I'm working security for the Guy show.
All right.
Yeah. I'm telling you, this is a change. This is a change that I do agree. This is kind of unprecedented. I think we've been teased in the past that there's actually going to be meaningful change. But the reality is, so I outside of the pharmacy gig, I also do employer benefits consulting. So shout out to
13 jobs for Chris. I'm up to 13 now. I got 13.
Henderson Brothers.
Any more, I'm not gonna be able to count.
Henderson Brothers, Perigon 360, Asty's Pharmacy, and then what's the other one?
Pharmacy Marketplace.
Pharmacy Marketplace. I love
Chick-fil-A.
What's his name?
Wade.
Shout out to Wade.
He works
Shout out
Sundays
to
at
Wade.
Chick-fil-A.
Way back. Wade and I used to talk back in the day.
Yeah. So Wade, here's this. Wade is a mad scientist. This is a guy that knows more about pharmacy.
This is the inventory partner.
He's a data analytics guy.
He's not a pharmacist, but he and his brother own a pharmacy.
He's
they
a
took
nerd,
over their family
like
pharmacy, and he just knows everything there is to know about inventory and pharmacy management systems. He's right now on. He took a short-term transition out to Hawaii, the island of Oahu, with our chief technology officer, Matt Duranko. So if you're looking for a place to go and hang out and talk to some pharmacy nerds, Oahu, Hawaii. Maybe we can do a on location podcast out there. Maybe we could do some fishing, some hard work out there.
Listen, if I have to go, I will. I mean, it's going to be hard.
I'll
do my best.
But it's this whole discussion of technology and innovation, of where even a pharmacy's largest expense is their inventory, and
then second is your staff, right?
That's right. And so why are we not leveraging technology in these ways? And I think that we're at the cusp. We really are seeing shifts in how this innovation can bleed into pharmacy, and I think it's going to take it over. I think we're going to see significant advancements.
Well, that technology is just buttoned up against enough people willing to try it. The technology is there,
right?
But it's just getting the buy. I mean, pharmacy is a very stodgy, old school, blue collar profession, and in general, it just is. And you have to admit that if you want to penetrate it. But the longer you're in existence, that means the better operator you are, because it's very hard to survive in that space nowadays. So if you're in there, kudos to you, but keep your momentum going and get outside the box. I think is a message to give. Get outside the box, man. That's where all the action is.
By the way, every community is different. Okay. So if you're a business owner, you're a pharmacist business owner, what's working in Pittsburgh might not work in Austin, Texas. It might not work in Sebastian, Florida. Right. Shout out to Teresa Toll. She's my dad's pharmacist. I love you, Teresa.
She's the best.
She's been amazing.
She's the rock star.
APHA president.
She's the CPSN. She's person down there too, right?
APHA. Yeah, she's heavily involved. CPSN.
I talked to her all the time.
APHA president.
What's her name?
President. Teresa Toll.
Hi, Teresa.
Teresa Toll.
She's just the best.
It's
I talked
Indian
one time.
River Pharmacy. Wait, Indian River? I think it is.
I have no idea.
So. I'm not sure of pharmacy.
I have literally no idea.
She's a rock star.
Yeah, she is. Her community pharmacy is so amazing, where she integrates this whole integrative health thing that's going on, and the shift to being more attentive to nutrition and good products. And so I want to talk products for just a second. What products are you guys using right now that really stand out to you, that you're selling in the home environment care world for Shawn, but then in your environment, are you guys capitalizing on quality, supplements and stuff like that?
I would say that at Astes, we haven't put a focus on quality supplements. Frankly, it's one of those things where, we have enough excuses to be distracted and busy with other things. We've really zeroed in on services. We're growing. We see a tremendous opportunity in some direct to employer activities. So contracting directly with employers. I'm in a unique situation in that I advise employers. So I have a perspective on employer-sponsored plans and self-funded plans and what they're looking for and what they need. So we've done some activities in that regard. But I definitely know of some pharmacies that are killing it as it relates to identifying their niche of selling products in home. Supplements.
Compounding, right? You guys do compounding.
We do
too.
compounding.
Compounding's big too in that space. I don't do it because I'm a prima donna and I don't want to get my hands dirty. But
what about like non-hood compounding?
Yeah, non-sterile.
Listen, there's opportunities there. I'm just, like I said, I would just, I kind of stay in my lane for the time being because I have such opportunity just within my wheelhouse.
Maybe you farm it out to somebody.
I'm reluctant to get too far ahead of my skis, with other stuff.
Farm it out.
Because we have some big opportunities.
Yeah, I think this is really what I would boil this down to is, we're talking about, and I think, we want to hit on some key points that we want to address here. We could just talk all day, just socially and strategize. But one of the biggest issues I think that are facing pharmacy owners, I'd love to, hear feedback from this, is I think that when you look at the successful pharmacy owners, entrepreneurs, a lot of them have found a way to step away from the bench, found a way to step away from filling prescriptions, because it's actually it takes a lot of effort to think strategically And then once you have a strategy you want to pursue, actually figuring it out. How are we going to do it? If it's a supplement brand, if it's a particular niche, like, taking care of folks at home, and it's really challenging. What Shawn does on a daily basis, taking care of the patients that he serves, it is wrought with challenges. Just coordinating logistics of delivery is a big undertaking. It takes a lot of brain power to figure that out. And
shout out to Beeline.
Oh, Beeline.
Shout out to Beeline.
I know, we do. We got
King B, the King B.
Louis.
Sweet Lou.
Just coordinating delivery is a challenge. And so when you think about why aren't pharmacies doing things, I think that's the other thing we have to acknowledge, is that it is very taxing to figure out how to build prescriptions appropriately, to make sure patients get what they need, to do things accurately, efficiently. You're worrying about paying the bills. And then you have to find time to think strategically about, am I going to launch a new line? Am I going to get into technology? I think that is arguably one of the reasons that we haven't seen this, penetration of innovation across the board. I mean, it's definitely happening in pockets, but
there's still some basic opportunities that aren't even like technology investment savvy. Again, PPCN, clinical oriented programs, right? Like, the problem is a lot of pharmacies just can't get to these clinical opportunities they have. They don't have the bandwidth.
Enter another job. So tell them about it, Shawn. What are you doing?
Is that a fucking softball I just threw out there, or what?
I think
Did
so.
you like how I set that
I
up?
loved it.
That's on a tee, baby. No, so Chris and I, a couple other guys, Luke Shoemaker, we started a clinical company, Architect Health. What that's designed to do is to reach the pharmacist that owns a pharmacy that doesn't have the bandwidth to get to all his clinical opportunities that he has. PPCN, there's opportunities all over the place. Outcomes, opportunities all over the place. And these things are just going to get greater and greater. A lot of health plans have direct opportunities. So, what our goal is, Luke's job as the CEO of the company, or COO of the company, is to go to these pharmacists out there and say, hey, man, if you can't get to these, we have solutions for you. We can help you build out your clinical network. Essentially no risk, time, or effort to you. We're going to do it for you. Do a little rev share, or so, whatever we can, whatever sort of agreements we can get to.
That's right.
With these operators, and be that clinical piece, because we're given these opportunities, but if we don't perform, the health plans aren't going to keep giving them to us. We have a finite window to show them that we can do it. They're giving them to us. We need to do them.
Yep.
And we want to infuse opportunities like remote monitoring. I'm telling you, if pharmacies don't get on remote monitoring, this train is going to pass us.
Hold on a second. Let me ask you guys a question. So there's a bunch of these transparent PBMs who are the smaller PBMs, Capital RX and True Benefits and Apro RX. Shout out to the Fields family that I've been friends with for years, who taught me about PBMs. So let's pretend you take Capital RX, for example. If they started covering a benefit for their families, their covered lives, in the realm of a fee for monitoring, a fee for technology usage, a fee for Spencer Health, systems, fees that were driven to a closer connection of care, data, and usage, where now their closed network, which is reimbursing for technology usage, basically digital therapeutic reimbursement for pharmacy-oriented services.
Yep.
Is there anything happening right now in that?
I think that we're at the cutting edge of that, where, at least on the employer-sponsored plan side, that's what's so intriguing. It's almost like an untapped opportunity for pharmacies to work directly with employers. But when I'm on the other side of that wall, I'm talking to these employers and I see how eager they are to manage total cost of care. I look at these PBMs and I see they have to differentiate themselves. And I think that pharmacy, community pharmacy in particular, is a way for PBMs that are selling to employers to bring value-added solutions to them to address something like total cost of care. I think adherence packaging is in that. But when you think about remote monitoring and technology, these are the individuals that are the working class folks. These are folks between the ages of 20 and 50 primarily. And they are really interested in using technology. And so I think that there's absolutely an opportunity. We're, I'm at Perigon. We're engaging with some employers on doing.
There has to be a shift, Chris, in the way everybody thinks, right?
Totally.
I mean, like you said, the technology exists. Healthcare just hasn't caught up to the technology.
Right.
Healthcare is, again, stodgy, old school, siloed, but the technology exists. I mean, we can help. Chris can go to all these companies that he represents and say, here's a total package of healthcare for you that kind of is proactive instead of reactive, right? We forever were like, hey, you don't treat anybody till they're sick. Now, if you can get ahead of the curve and treat them a little more before they get sick, you can prolong everything and save money, which is the end game.
That's it.
Yep.
It's all about the dollars, Todd. Everybody follow the dollars.
Pharmacy is at the center of it.
Yes.
Okay. This is what I preach. This is when I'm out there advising and counseling and, and engaging with these plan sponsors. It's, you're concerned about chronic disease, right? The chronic diseases that are driving the cost in this country: diabetes, cholesterol, high cholesterol, hypertension. Just put that in the bucket of cardiovascular disease.
Yep.
You've got asthma, COPD. You've got mental health, depression, anxiety, etc. All of those conditions, what are they managed with? They're managed with
Medications.
Medications.
And I'll tell you what, too. A lot of those ones that you just mentioned, you can do with the old $4 drug list.
It doesn't require
you can treat those disease
drugs.
states.
But the reality is, people are not taking their drugs. Number one, they're not using them
100%.
appropriately. And the pharmacist, with or without the technology, the pharmacist has a huge impact. But when you infuse things like your adherence packaging, Shawn, when you infuse things like technology to monitor the doses and send text messages or push notifications when you miss a dose to just give you that little nudge, that what we call a digital nudge.
Don't forget.
We can influence, and we can influence in a big way that matters to those companies that are spending all of this money on healthcare.
Yep.
Pharmacy, we have to take advantage of this. It's a critical inflection point for our entire profession, frankly.
Yeah, there's never been more opportunity. As rough as it is in the traditional role, there's never been more opportunity in the industry as a space.
So I want to shift gears, because this is kind of like a boomerang,
I'm
or not
shocked.
a boomerang. It's a little shift, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about Kyle McCormick. Okay.
Yeah.
This guy
Who's he?
is, all right, hold on a second. So this guy is a freaking Lone Ranger, right?
He's a rock star.
He wins something in pharmacy school. I think he was like a part of he competed in something. He develops like ideas around new pharmacy models.
I think it was the Achieving Independence competition.
Yeah.
He competed and came up with a business model.
Yep.
And
so this guy says, all right, that's it. I'm implementing it. He literally puts his literal career and his whole income on this concept of, I'm going to become a club pharmacy. I'm going to charge cash and
cost plus
the whole, PBM model.
Yeah.
Mark Cuban stole his idea.
Mark Cuban doesn't understand.
Stole his idea.
But listen, Mark Cuban, it's not him.
Say
it's
it with
Dr.
me, Todd.
Alex.
Mark Cuban.
No, it's Dr. Alex.
You're not going to say it.
Dr. Alex had the original idea.
I disagree.
And Dr. Alex is his
My
CEO.
money's on Kyle. Go ahead.
His CEO. And nobody recognized, because he lived in Pittsburgh and he wouldn't have a publicist like me. If he would have had a publicist like me, I'd have had his name out there by now.
Right. Sure.
So anyway, now Blueberry Pharmacy's rising. He's building other Blueberry pharmacies throughout the nation. It's going to like its own little network. So where does this concept of more control in healthcare dollar spend at a local level, which now you bring in the PPCNs and the CPSNs to a closer element of patient care, because now you have cash payers that get to control everything.
Well, I'll tell you,
Where's
the
this model going?
the smartest thing that Kyle told me out of his model is, think about the insurance industry, regardless of what you're talking about. You don't use your car insurance until you're in a wreck, right? That's what insurance is for. So your day-to-day prescriptions of staying healthy shouldn't necessarily be covered by insurance. That's just your day-to-day expenses. You insure the catastrophe.
Yeah.
Other than that, you pay for you pay for your car to get fixed. You pay for the oil. You pay for the brakes.
Yep.
If you're in an accident, you turn it into insurance. Medicine is your day-to-day routine. So on the generic side, I mean, 2, 3, you could treat probably 90% of the illnesses out there with, drugs $20 and under. And that's what Kyle's saying is don't even insure this part. Just pay for it. That'll lower the cost across the system.
Yeah, that's his one of the great examples he gives.
I love that.
You have a vehicle, you don't use your car insurance on your oil change because it's a predictable, manageable.
I'm always I repeat that story all the time, and I never give him credit, but I will from now on. I did today.
Yeah, you did. But I do think that it's the only area where I think there's opportunity to just maybe further innovate and address is the reality that there are some conditions, diabetes, being one of them, where there are some innovative brand name drugs, and you want to be able to round it out. And I do see, there is value. Patients are paying him cash for prescriptions that they might otherwise be able to use their insurance. And, in a lot of cases, he's actually less expensive than their insurance. But
for sure,
in some cases, he can't address the entire population that don't actually pay for their meds. You're thinking of the Medicaid, the Medicaid population and others. And it's a shame because of the value that we know he brings and what we know other community pharmacists like him bring. But I'm really, I see a definite future for that model. I would say too that one of my goals is to find a way to get that model in a direct contracted scenario where you have an employer
with an employer
that says, listen, we're going to circumvent this whole system that is kind of rigged against us. I do know that there are PBMs that are doing it the right way. So I kind of sit on the fence as it relates to, I'm not a pharmacy owner that is down with PBMs. I'm down with bad PBMs, and I'm up with good PBMs.
Sure. Exactly.
But
that's fair.
I don't know. I love what Kyle's doing. I think I
think there's room for it.
Yeah,
I think there's room for it. And I think it's going to put pressure on PBMs.
For sure.
I mean, they think he's small business now, but then Mark Cuban steps in and kind of starts to
he's got the attention. And Kyle is, he has a consulting gig, Cost Plus Pharmacy, and they are in their Cost Plus pharmacies popping up all over the country.
Right.
And I do see it
proliferating.
I'd like to see Mark Cuban team up with independent pharmacies.
He wants to.
And ship stuff.
But he
like, in other words, ship the
line.
drugs, not to the patient's home, but ship them to the independent pharmacy in their neighborhood.
Yeah. Come on this show.
And then
Mark
we
Cuban.
do the counseling. We do the stuff, we get paid some dollars
for
the counseling aspect.
There's a way.
I mean, there's a huge opportunity. There's 20,000+ independent pharmacies.
I got to cut you guys off now.
No, man, I can't do that.
We're out of time.
I can't believe we're at time, dude.
Right, you guys.
You told me
are
this
you
was
guys coming back?
I thought this was the.
I'm coming.
I thought this was TWIRx XL, which had extra time in it.
No, we got to stick to the plan.
We're coming back.
Yeah, I want you both back. I will appreciate you.
That's what my wife says.
We're gonna be talking with Christina Fontana.
She means just
Dr.
me, not
Fontana,
me and Chris.
Here in just a second. We're going to be talking about healers and healthcare, and basically it's a conference coming out of Cincinnati, and Christina has organized this. PPN is going. We're going to be their media sponsor, and you guys are invited. It's going to be a party of a lifetime called Pharmapalooza. So
I'm in. Count me in.
We're going to come back. Listen, we're going to come back for the Pharmacy Shark Tank competition.
Do it.
Yeah, we're going to do that. Pharmacy Shark Tank.
Pharmacy Shark Tank coming at you. This spring.
Hey, on This Week in Pharmacy, now I'd like to introduce a personal friend of mine, a fellow Pittsburgher, a Yinzer. If you don't know what Yinzer is, look it up. Hashtag. It's the one and only Dr. Christina Fontana, the founder of Elevate Entrepreneurial Academy. But more importantly, today we're talking about healers in healthcare. I'm on fire about this event, Christina. So say hello to the This Week in Pharmacy listeners. It's so good to have you here.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Yes, I'm a Yinzer now. I guess you can say that. Even though I'm from New York, you'll hear the accent come out. But yeah, I've been here long enough.
You have been. You have been. You have been. I'll never forget seeing you in the Post Gazette on the big yellow bridge.
Yep.
Seeing the word pharmacist and seeing how much there was in you to do something that is different. You didn't come across as kind of the standard person that is working day to day. And back then in your life, you were in the chain pharmacy world, but you knew that you wanted to do something more. And I think that was 5, 6, 8 years ago. And now here we are where you're running a brand new conference called the Healers in Healthcare Show and Healers in Healthcare Conference. Would you tell our listeners why you're building this and a little bit more about it so so that they know, it and they can participate?
Yeah. So there is a gap that exists in our healthcare system. And I think that a lot of pharmacists are actually healers. We went into pharmacy to help our patients get better, to help them heal. But a lot of, what you just said about being in chain pharmacy, literally we're chained to the golden handcuffs. We're not really able to have that time, that presence, the depth of being able to help our patients actually heal and have those long-term conversations where we can begin to help them with their behavioral change and coming off medications and looking at lifestyle change. And so my goal is to really help empower the healer in healthcare, pharmacists who are looking to get into specialties like functional medicine or pharmacogenomics or holistic healing or herbalism. All of these little, healing specialties are popping up. And now people are wondering, well, how do I actually take my idea to implementation? And so that's where this conference and this movement really comes from, because we weren't taught that in pharmacy school. We weren't taught how to build a brand, how to create podcasts, how to think in entrepreneurial ways. And so I want to come to the forefront of this movement and bring together all of these amazing experts that we're going to, talk about in a little bit here, so that you can come to an experience to learn, to grow, to network, to help take your entrepreneurial idea all the way to implementation, to network with a high quality group of people so that you leave this conference knowing that you are supported, that you can call on someone like Delon Canterbury or Jerika Dodd or Todd Uri or whoever else that you're going to be connected with. I want you to just think about the infinite possibilities that can exist when you say yes to an opportunity like this, to be immersed in an experience where you are going to learn and think beyond, outside the box of what's possible, of what we've been taught, of how we have to be, and what we're allowed to do as pharmacists. I think that there is so much growth, and I'm so excited about this because our pharmacy profession is changing. And we are at the forefront of this movement to bring more healing to the profession. So that's what this is about.
Hey, and this is not your first go around in conference. You've been doing conferences for a while now. You have some amazing events that are happening at some of the most beautiful places in the country down south. I have the FOMO when I watch your conferences, the fear of missing out, because I want to be there, especially the places that you pick that are gorgeous. But share a little bit about what you've done in the past in building up to the Healers in Healthcare Conference, which, in my opinion, I think it's going to become your Super Bowl every year.
Yeah, I'm super excited. It's going to be an annual event. So beginning of May every year, that's my intention. And it's going to be, I'm saying, the biggest pharmacy party in history, because we're having Pharmapalooza.
Pharmapalooza.
And I'm just so excited for that. So yeah, I started off actually doing local events where there was like 10 people there. And, I had a videographer, I started to get testimonials, and that's how you build, right? I didn't start here. I started years ago, talking about, weight loss and healing in that aspect. And my first event, I actually just posted about this. It was called Fit, Fabulous, and in Control. And it was here locally. And I actually started off, doing that. And then I went and did bigger events and had events down in Florida, multiple different events. And that was more so about transformation, but I attracted a lot of pharmacists, a lot of healers in healthcare. And then with the book that came out, last year, our book that you're in and that you wrote the forward for, the word healer, yes, there it is. The phrase healer in healthcare came through to me. And so I trademarked it. And I started the Healers in Healthcare show, and then an idea dropped in, and what I heard intuitively was like, this has to be a conference. Yep. And so it's been different iterations of these little retreats, and now it's like, boom, we're ready for the big enchilada here.
Absolutely. I like that. I love enchiladas. Hey, So let's talk about the venue. We've chosen Cincinnati, Ohio. So let's talk about where it is and when it is.
Yeah, so it's at the Summit Hotel. So ironically enough, it's a summit. We're bringing together all of these pharmacists. And to me, it's just, I think that word is so perfect. Like I was looking at a lot of different hotels, but this hotel is gorgeous. It's elegant. It's a huge venue. We're having it from May 5th to the 7th in Cincinnati. Super excited for that. So yeah, we're ready to go.
Excellent. You mentioned some of your oncoming speakers. Jerika Dodd and I have been friends now for years. We've supported her in her transformation of people that she's helped and coached.
Yeah.
She is amazing. She's moved from Atlanta out of the country, I think Puerto Rico area, and I think she might be back in Atlanta with her Jack Russell, which were fellow Jack Russell.
Pistachio. Yep.
Exactly. So tell me about the other speakers that are coming to the event. Give us a sneak peek.
First of all, I want to just say that all of them have a servant heart. For me, if you know me for a while, I talk a lot about energy.
Yep.
And I knew that when I brought this conference together, and I, curated the structure with the speakers and the speaker panelists and volunteers and everybody that was going to be necessary to bring this to fruition, I just kind of put out there, I said, I want people who are servant leaders. And that's exactly what I got. So I'm going to just share the lineup because I'm super excited for all of these people to be involved. You included. So we have Kimber Booth, Jerika Dodd, Thea Blystone, Sujin Jun, Kelly Schaub, Trish Franchetti, Delon Canterbury, Sue Paul, Katie Wood, and of course you. So that is just a taste of what you're going to get. And I love the fact that all of these people have, you always hear me talk about, what's your brilliance? What are your gifts? They all bring such a unique flavor and personality and, really niche in pharmacy. So we have remote patient monitoring, entrepreneurship, functional medicine, patient advocacy, hormonal balancing, entrepreneurship, geriatric deprescribing, fertility. I mean, there's so many different things that you're going to learn at this conference from all of these experts. And Todd's pulling up the landing page right now, where you were, to show all of them. But what I love about this is that, you're not just coming to learn from me, you're learning from all of these other people. So if you're interested in, hormonal balancing, I want you to go talk to Kelly Schaub. If you're interested in something else, like go network and connect and form those relationships. That's the whole point, is creating this network of people that are going to support you and be there with you, because we all know entrepreneurship can feel really isolating. So this is going to really connect you to a diverse, high quality group of people that are going to love and support you the whole way through.
Yeah, I want to make another example. So home care is expanding, right? And we know that there's not enough nursing homes throughout the country to get ready for what's happening through the baby boomer demographic. Dr. Delon Canterbury has taught pharmacists now for years how to deprescribe and start to integrate holistic medicine and follow-up and counseling and building a business around our seniors outside of the traditional long-term care pharmacy, which, is more about that skilled nursing or more about the assisted living center. How many people are in their homes, Christina, that can't afford to go to possibly one of those facilities, or those facilities are not available? There's just not enough beds in America to prepare for some of these people. What Delon is doing is more than just status quo. He's actually dedicated to making people feel better so they're more mobile and they live a more freedom-driven life. And I can't imagine a pharmacist out there that wants to build a consultancy kind of linking up with him and learning that side of it, as well as the other 6 to 12 different subject matter experts that you're bringing. But that's what Healers in Healthcare is about.
Exactly. And I'm getting chills as you're talking about that, because first of all, you could be a spokesperson for Delon right now. Like if he's listening to this, he's awesome. I just met him and he's, oh my God, talk about a servant heart. But yeah, exactly. It's, the power of what we're going to do at this event is so beyond anything that I could do by myself. And so that's what I get excited about, is bringing us all together, and we can grow and exponentially. And so that is what this movement is about. It's this creation of, we're all in this together. How can we transform healthcare and create this domino effect?
Absolutely.
And that's what's really exciting.
Healers in Healthcare, Cincinnati. What's the dates again?
May 5th to the 7th.
May 5th through the 7th. Awesome. If you have any questions, This Week in Pharmacy is going to continuously be promoting this event. Watch for us on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on Instagram. We're going to be tagging the Pharmacist Coach, which is Christina's main handle on Instagram, as well as Facebook. And what we'll do is we'll continuously share the link. So if you're interested in attending the event in Cincinnati, please reach out to the PPN, the Pharmacy Podcast Network, reach out to the Pharmacist Coach, reach out to any of the speakers that are being mentioned. They'll know about it. But come together, be a part of this. We got to heal each other first and prepare each other first for what's coming. Christina, we are in a very interesting part of history in the pharmacy profession. We're in a transformational stage where there's a lot of naysayers out there that you and I both come across way too many times. And we have to ignore the naysayers because we are the ones pulling the pharmacy industry into this next generation care, mobile care environment where we're using remote patient monitoring, pharmacogenomics, technology,
telemedicine,
things that are happening in data sharing. And we're positioning the pharmacist to grab the treatment ball from the quarterback, from the physician, and then running with it to the goal line to sustain and make people feel better and make people live better. And that I think it all starts with healers in healthcare. So I'm thrilled to be a part of this.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, look, you're the perfect spokesperson for me too.
Absolutely. I believe in you. I believe in it. I believe in what pharmacists are doing. So I'm going to continue to beat the drum, and we'll actually have you back on This Week in Pharmacy before the event, just to give us a quick update to get everybody charged up. But
Awesome.
I really appreciate you being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, I want to just give a shout out to Shawn and Chris for coming down from Upper closer to Pittsburgh. They're probably about an hour away. I want to give a shout out to pharmacists for this week of everything that you've been working on. Also the NCPA for all the work that you're doing in PBM reform. A shout out to the NACDS, the National Association of Chain Drugstores. You are part of this fight, PBM reform, and we very much appreciate you. And I hope to work with you for your annual conference coming up. Stay tuned for next week. This Week in Pharmacy, we're going to be talking about additional ways to help to evolve our profession. And I'm excited to bring in some additional remote. We won't have anybody in the studio. If you want to be a part of this show and sharing the evolution of our profession, please reach out to me at publisher@pharmacypodcast.com. That's publisher@pharmacypodcast.com. I also want to give a shout out to our sponsor for today, and just a shout out to Finn and the Integra X-Files podcast. If you haven't learned and heard about that podcast, they do an amazing job talking about pharmacy technology. And I'm very thankful to our listeners as well, and how this is growing and how to actually see it growing, and also our new hosts that are part of our team. And if you have a podcast and you're thinking, you want to get into continuing education, if you want to develop payable series where it might be something that you want to be premium station, we have relationships with organizations like ConveyMed. If you take a look at conveymed.io, our series on there that's dedicated to preparing our P4s for the naplexpodcast.com is on there. But this has been a wonderful This Week in Pharmacy. We are going to be at the APHA 2023 in Phoenix, Arizona in March, end of March 24th through 27th. I can't wait to see everybody there. We cannot wait for Pizzas Not Working. Dr. Candace Olusala will be there with us, and Dr. Bled Tanoe. So excited about this opportunity. This has been amazing This Week in Pharmacy. And like I said, a shout out to all of you that have given us feedback, and we appreciate you. A shout out to my crew, Brady, Tyler, and Rachel for putting this together. I could not do it without you. And we are out. See you later.